Hey, what's going on? So I have a variety of fruits and vegetables that I'm gonna be pickling today. There's literally 5 ingredients to the pickling brine itself, and then whatever it is that you're gonna be pickling, plus the aromatics. I'm using white distilled vinegar, but you could use whatever kind of vinegar you want. That's gonna be 4 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of filtered water. We're gonna have 1 cup of granulated sugar, and 2 tablespoons of salt.
Essentially, all these ingredients need to get put into a medium-sized stock pot. We need to bring this liquid up to a boil. That way, the salt and the sugar is able to dissolve.
So we're gonna put this on the burner behind me, bring this up to a boil to dissolve that sugar and that salt, and we need that hot liquid to soften up the fruits and vegetables that we're gonna be actually pickling.
We need to stir frequently as it's coming up to a boil. Once it does come up to a boil, kill the heat.
So one thing I do want to stress really quick is that this is a quick refrigerator pickling method. This is not by any means a way to preserve the produce that I'm going to be showing you how to pickle today, alright? It's a quick pickling method and these ingredients are meant to be kept in the refrigerator. And that being said, the ingredients are going to last 2 to 3 months in the refrigerator perfectly fine if you don't actually consume them by that time frame, you know what I'm saying?
I like to give my produce a quick rinse under cold running water just to get any kind of dirt or whatever off of them. A very sharp knife is a necessary thing when you're cutting up jalapeños, which I'm cutting into 1/2-inch thick slices. I have a red pear that I'm going to cut into large rough dice. I mean, pears are kind of soft already, so you don't need to cut them very small. If you cut them too small, they're going to get super mushy after they're done pickling. The larger dice really holds the structure. 1 zucchini that's going to get cut into 1/2-inch thick slices. 3 shallots that are going to get the ends cut off, remove that outer pepper layer, and the shallots are going to get cut into thin slices. I like to keep them circular. I'd say that's about 1/8 of an inch thick on the slice. Carrots are super easy to prep. Just use the veggie peeler to get rid of that outer skin.
I like having a place to put scraps, you know, that way it keeps a tidy work area, you know what I mean?
Line up the ends of the carrots, cut off those nasty ends, and then we're gonna go about 1/4 of an inch thick on the slices. I like the carrots because they have a tapered shape to them. They go beautifully in the salad. I mean, the smaller pieces have a softer texture to them after they pickle, and the larger ones are crunchier, and it gives a salad a nice texture. If you pickle garlic, they will have a tendency to turn blue or green if you do not blanch them first. I mean, it is edible at this point. It's not gonna hurt you, but it's a little off-putting. In order to fix that, put the garlic cloves in lightly salted boiling water for about 30 seconds. Just make sure that you give them an ice shock right afterwards. So these garlic cloves have been blanched and they've been sitting in a pickling liquid for about a week. Notice that they don't have any blue or green color to them.
The pickling brine is actually almost up to a boil, so now kind of worked out perfectly for the timing. I'm going to put each of these ingredients into the jars.
These are pint-sized mason jars that I'm working with, and I figured out that each amount of the ingredients that I'm pickling fills up each jar just perfectly. I don't want to overfill the jar. They actually sit just right below that lower thread on the neck of the jar.
Next go the aromatics, so that's going to be a cinnamon stick, teaspoon worth of coriander seeds to the jalapeños. We have peppercorns and those anise go to the pears. Turmeric and the peppercorns go to the zucchinis. Shallots are gonna get the bay leaf and the garlic.
So the jar of the carrots actually ended up a little light, so I'm gonna go ahead and chop up 1 more carrot and add a garlic clove as well as 2 whole cloves to that jar. Right off the heat, you want to put that boiling pickling brine right into those jars. Just be careful not to overfill the jar. I fill it up just so that it starts to barely cover the ingredients, which ends up being just to the bottom of that neck of the jar. Each of these ingredients that we're pickling has their own unique flavor to them. Of course, carrots are going to have a nice pickled carrot flavor, for example, and they all have their own little twist to them, like the jalapeños have that cinnamon stick in it. Immediately, right after you pour that hot brine into the jars, very carefully screw on a lid. That's just going to be barely finger tight. And now we're going to let those cool to room temperature, and that's going to take about 2 hours. Of course, you could go ahead and give these a try as soon as they're cool enough to handle, but I have found that if you toss them in the refrigerator and let them sit for 48 hours before trying, the flavors really have had a chance to develop.
So I have an awesome burger recipe that, you know, each one of these would go quite exceptionally with. You could do all of them, you could do a combination of them, or you could just do one individually. Make sure you give that video a watch, and I will see you there.